I was standing next to open door, and there was a speaker. This Tom Cruise lookalike guy was jumping off the walls, and he was so excited, and he was like, "Good morning, movers and shakers of this world." And today I feel not for any reason that you like his audience, I just feel as excited, just the fact that we're all together again, and that it's hopefully the start of getting used to a new normality where at least we will see you in person. As you would have noted, we've limited the audience to a small group of people. Our other friends are Zooming in, and we're taking turns over the next 2 weeks with our Inspirational Wednesday theme to invite the others as well to the office. I think we all have experienced a bit of a sense of loss over the past year. Obviously, some of us had real and big losses where it was lives and friends and so on which were affected. We also were affected by many people with loss of income, loss of jobs and so on. But on the other hand, apart from that, also a sense of loss in socializing, friendships. As agents, this is part of what gets you going, to meet with your friends, to share energy in a sales environment. And a lot of that has not been happening. So I'm very realistic that we all come from that. And then, of course, the sad part is that we also start to draw into a bit of a comfort zone where you find it difficult to actually go out and invite friends or arrange something or do whatever is necessary. It's just like this lull and slump which got over a lot of us. And I think that's where the challenge is, to find the energy and the courage to go on, to think differently, to come up with new ideas, to be excited and to actually go and sell. Because we are very fortunate, all of us in the real estate industry. There was a rising tide which took all of us up. Despite our energy levels and what we've done, we were very blessed. But also not being a prophet of doom and gloom, every tide must go out again. I think it's reached its top mark, and that's where the difference lies. How are we going to approach an outgoing tide? And that's where we as DTS thought, listen, we're not going to wait for next year to do some motivational or inspirational mornings. We actually want to do it right now so that we're ready and that we can start going, that we don't say another 3 months and then we get a bit fatter and a bit lazier, and then it's even more difficult to start in January. Our first speaker shared my passion for Port Elizabeth, our beautiful city. She won't need much introduction to many of you. She's Bev Hancock. She's a global presenter and a strategic facilitator. Her motto is leading through conversation. And today she will share with us some of her thoughts and insights on adjusting to the new normal, to be able to go out there and get our share of business and what we require to move forward. Bev, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share with us today.
Only a pleasure. Thank you.
You also need this little one. Can you take it?
Yeah.
Okay, that one.
I need that, I think. This is a little bit more civilized. I normally have technicians putting their hands down my dress and goodness knows what else as I'm... Can I tell you something? Unfortunately, we've got great ones here today, but not always. Okay. All right, guys, you happy that I don't use the microphone? All right, can you all hear me? Well, certainly welcome, everybody. This is my second in-person event in the last few days, and it's just so good to see you. All right, I'm just having to remember a few things as I got dressed this morning, though. The first thing I had to remember was to check to see that I wasn't wearing my slippers. Okay. How many people have got into the car and they've still had their slippers on and they have forgotten that, remember, people can see you from here down when you go to the shop? The other thing, guys, close your ears. Ladies, I'm actually wearing a bra for the first time in goodness knows how long. Okay. The things that have changed in this world of ours. How do we start moving? So today we're going to be talking about a very, very important word, and that word is thriving. I think the last 567 days, and that's how long it's been since the 27th of March, 567 days, have been about thriving, about surviving. And surviving is heavy. How do we now start lifting that? And instead of calling it the new normal, I'm calling it the next normal. And why? You were saying just now about the tide moving in and the tide moving out. You know, there isn't going to be a new normal. Normal is where we are now and what we are comfortable with. The one lesson that we have learned as we come out of this really dark place that we've been in is that normal is now. And how can we really harness the opportunities? How can we harness the moment? And to recognize that we're never going back to where we were. And next week's normal is not going to be the same as this week's normal. So how do we learn to adapt? How do we learn to become agile? So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, which is the next normal. And part of this new normal, the interesting part is, as you were doing the introduction, you don't have a mute button in the room. Okay, so now you have to go say, shh, hi everybody, can we have quiet please, etc., etc., etc. But the one thing that has all changed for us who are not digital natives is that we all have had to come to terms with technology. Am I correct? All right. Now, normally in an event like this, we tell you to put your phones away. I would actually like you to take your phones out. Just for a minute. We're going to have a conversation. While we're doing that, I would like to welcome our audience out there as well, to say welcome to this event, and we would like you to be part of the conversation as well. So we're going to be using some interactive technology that will allow us all to have a conversation together in the room, both the audience in the room and the audience out on our live stream, and we are really, really glad to have you with us today. So what I would like you to do is that I would like you to go to, you can either, let's get it up. All right, you can either use your your camera just to scan in the QR code, or what you do is that you go to www.menti.com, and there is the code there on the live stream. You will see it at the bottom of the screen as well. Please just make sure that you've got that in. So you go to your browser if you're not using the code, and you type in www.menti.com, and it'll ask you for a code, and that code is 69549689. I'll just give everybody a moment to do that. Anybody's battling? Okay, all right, where's your Google? Okay, right, so where's Google? Yeah, there. Okay, perfect. All right. So what you do is you go. No, I don't want to go to the weather. Just hold on a sec. I just want to go to a new search. I don't want to type a message. Just hold on a sec. Just go to your Google is. Oh, there's Google there, and then there's Google there. Aha, that's what I'm looking for. All right. So we go www. Where's your full stop? There we go. There we go. And right, where's search? There's search. Okay, just read out the code. It's 69549689. And you're in. Okay. All right. Has everybody got that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, has everybody got your code? Are you ready to put in your question? And the question we're going to be asking is the following. All right, the question we're going to be asking the following. If the last 565 days of lockdown was a Netflix movie, what kind of movie would it be? You can choose any one of those. For our audience out there, we hope that you're on the code. You can still see the code at the top of the screen there if you haven't got it. But this is the question that we are going to be answering. As you can see here, this is where you see our community building at the bottom right of the screen. All right, anybody still battling? Anybody need some help? Okay, once you've finished, you press submit. You guys okay? All right, you guys okay? All right, everybody okay? This is fantastic. Let's see what lockdown we've all right, we're up to 34 already. Let's start. Carry on putting your answers on, and let me take away the picture, and let's see what the last 565 years. So as you can see, a lot of it has been around being a psychological thriller and a drama. Does that sound about right? Okay. Yeah. Do you know that Mad Max was apparently set in 2021? Yeah. Okay, which was actually quite interesting. Okay, so for a lot of people in the room, this has been their reality. I see that we have some family time and romance here as well. Okay. I wonder how many of you had to sell some extra houses because people need extra rooms now because they've been busy during lockdown? Okay, all right, okay. Or you're now having to sell them a house each because they got divorced. Yes, okay. I must tell you, I had a townhouse in Joburg when before lockdown, and I used to travel probably 2 to 3 weeks out of the month. So my husband, who lives here in Port Elizabeth and who's terribly patient, was just so good. And when we came down, I was going to lock down in Joburg because, as you know, we all thought it was only going to be 3 weeks. Fortunately, I came back and we had to decide whether or not we actually liked each other enough to live with each other for more than 10 days at a time in a month. And I'm very glad to say you will not be getting a divorce sale out of this one. It did come as a little bit of a surprise to both of us, however. All right, so we've had some romance. Family time has also been something that we have really appreciated in a whole new way. And fantasy, for some people, it's a great place to go. It's a great place to escape. Now, what this technology tells us, apart from the fact that we're just having a little bit of fun, this is probably a good snapshot of what your clients have gone through as well. They've been battling. Some of them have been struggling. Some of them have been thriving. Some of them have been loving it. All right? It's always a good idea to check in with your audience and to see where they are. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to push the pause button. How does that sound? And for a moment, just listen to the quiet. Have you noticed that listen and silent have the same letters? Have you noticed how noisy it's got with all of the technology that we are on, how busy it's been? How often do you find time just to be quiet? Who's been to the beach in the last week? Who hasn't been to the beach in the last year? We live in Port Elizabeth, but we've got this beautiful beachfront. Are we making use of it? We really hear the inward music. Are we listening for it? So today, we're going to take the opportunity just to pause and see if we can reconnect. And through this time, I want to introduce you to a little bit of science and magic of thriving. Who could use a magic wand right now? Okay. All right. Okay. So hopefully that's exactly what I will be giving you before you go. But I also want to talk to you about the science of thriving, the science of actually being able to get the most out of what we do. And where does the science start? It starts in the brain. Now, for those of us who are here, I want to take a moment for you to celebrate. You've made it. You've actually made it through 567 days of lockdown, and you're still here. There are a lot of people who haven't. There are a lot of people who are deeply struggling. So when we look at the diamond is made out of rock. If you crumble rock, what does it become? Gravel. Okay? But somehow, when you put a diamond under pressure, it becomes more valuable and becomes a girl's best friend. Guys, please note. Okay. All right. So, a diamond mindset. What does that do? How do we become the diamonds rather than the dust? And it's all about mental resilience and understanding the conversations that are going on inside our head. So I'd like you to go back to your phones now. And for those of you who are with us out there as well, if you could do that. If you still need the code, the code is still going at the bottom, am I correct? Okay, of the stream. Is it not? Okay. All right. So if everybody can just get back on now. Now what you're going to see here is that you're going to see, I'll put the code up for a little bit here. You're going to see a little dot that you've got to move. Where are you on this stress curve? Where are you on the stress curve? Are you at exhaustion, anxiety, panic? I actually had some people from a company the other day that they couldn't get the dots any further this side of the curve if they tried. Where are you on this curve? Okay, you just move your dots and you put it to wherever you feel you are. There we go. This is great. These answers are completely anonymous, so nobody can say, oh, yes, that's you. I can see that that's you. They're completely anonymous. We're just getting a feeling of where the room is at the moment. Okay. As we see them starting to cluster, can you see that we divide the line to your tipping point? Now, I see that some of you up there are pretty much on the tipping point. Now, stress is not a bad thing. A certain amount of stress is healthy. Otherwise, we sit here very, very laid back. Any estate agents sit in this part here? Okay. Yeah, I can see there's obviously they must be in the virtual audience, the ones that are sitting here. Okay, but you essentially have healthy stress, unhealthy stress. So if you are sitting in this part of the curve, you are battling with unhealthy stress. Here your stress is still okay. Once you get to that tipping point, you have good days and you have bad days. When you are here, and now for those of you who are getting into the red zone, all right, from a wellness perspective, that is worrying. Now you are going to start getting headaches, backaches, the various ailments that come with stress, digestive problems, etc., etc. So if you're starting to pick those up here, it's because you are coming down into this to the point where we finally achieve breakdown. Now, what happens in this zone, which is quite interesting, is that you are living in a fight or flight zone. So you are being triggered. Have you noticed that little things get to you? Things that never used to get to you before. Those kind of things. What happens is that it shuts down the thinking side of your brain and it puts you in a state of stress reaction all the time. So you're wondering, when your client doesn't phone you back, it's probably because they don't like you anymore and you've done something wrong and actually they're just busy. But can you see the internal conversations that we have inside our heads? Those internal conversations here are a lot louder than they are here. Here, positive stress moves us forward. So wherever your dot is on this map, I want you to ask yourself, am I in a thriving place? Because here we thrive. Am I in a surviving place? Here we're surviving. And if we want to move, how do we move so that we can still maintain healthy levels of stress, but we can do that? And one of the best ways we can do it is just to take time to breathe. How many of you every day are spending a few minutes just taking deep breaths and do that a few times and feel the calmness? What it actually does inside your head is that it stills that adrenaline cortisol response that you get when you go into fight or flight. So understanding where you are here now will help you with some of the strategies. Now we said I was going to give you a magic wand. All right. So can anybody tell me what this word means? Magic, okay? Go to a kid's party, this is the magic wand. Okay, abracadabra. But does anybody know where it comes from? Harry Potter. Before Harry Potter. Although, pretty good guess, okay? So have you seen that Harry Potter on Zoom?
I've seen all the Harry Potter.
Me too, yeah. There's a Harry Potter on Zoom. It's hilarious. Okay, all right. So abracadabra, yes, means magic. But where does it come from? So I saw this on Facebook. And as you know, if it's on Facebook, particularly at the moment, it must be true. All right. So being the academic that I am, I went and checked to see. Now, two interesting facts about this word emerged. The first is that they used to put it in an amulet around your neck when you were sick. And you would have the word abracadabra, and that was supposed to have healing properties. That was back in the Middle Ages. But the word itself comes from the ancient Aramaic, and it means when I speak, I create. When I speak, I create. So if you are saying, I'm never going to get any sales this month, it's not going to happen. What are you doing? You're creating you're speaking it into your life. All right. We speak our future into existence. And when I read, this was one of the biggest aha moments in my life, because it made me realize that we have within our control, there is so much going on at the moment that's not within our control. We can speak our future into existence. 20 years ago, I was a single mom in Port Elizabeth, 2 boys at Grey, married or getting divorced from a church minister, not a government minister. The difference being one has money, the other one doesn't. Okay. And when you get divorced from a church minister, it's literally like being on the weakest link. You leave with nothing. All right. So I had to speak a whole new future into existence. And when I saw this, I started embracing this and saying, what is the life that I want? And this is the new change. It's not even what is the business that we want. It's what is the life that we want, and how are our businesses going to support that life. I think that's one of the things that's changed during COVID. We've been thinking about what is important for us now, what is important for our families. So if we take that word magic and just tease it out a little bit, community is one of the most important things that we need to develop in this world of work, because we need this connection. Are we bringing meaning? Are you showing people what's important to you? Are you being agile? Are you adapting to this next normal, or are you fighting it? Are you continuing? The fact that you're here today tells me that you have a growth mindset. Why? Because you want to look to see how it goes. Most important, impact. If we're not making an impact, at the beginning of lockdown, remember everybody and his dog was doing free webinars. I decided I wasn't doing free webinars because I was just going to be one fish in a very, very big ocean, and I would be making no impact. So if I was going to be doing stuff for nothing, I might as well be doing my stuff for nothing. And it was a very good decision. And then lastly, and perhaps the most important word there, something we desperately need at the moment, and that is connection. So as we move forward into this new world of work, there is so much division. I mean, if we just look at social media, at the moment we're so busy putting everybody into different kinds of boxes that we can hardly have a conversation anymore. And yet in Africa, we have one of the most powerful concepts to bring to the world, and that is the concept of Ubuntu. And one thing that I love about this concept is that it celebrates both the power of the individual, every single one of you, but it also says that collectively we can do so much more. And I experienced this because I sold my house at the beginning of lockdown. As soon as you guys were allowed to work again, we sold my house, and we had 2 competing companies working together, and the experience that they gave me was absolutely amazing. And what it made me feel is that me as a person was important to them, rather than just being a cog in a wheel. And this whole idea of we achieve more through others is a concept that is very, very much part of the next normal. If you are protecting your little piece of pie, ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to lose. We've got to start looking at strategic partnership where both benefit. And are we getting, as a result of that, a bigger piece of the pie? Because if we're not, then it's not a good proposition. So where does it start? It all starts with connection. Because you're not selling houses. What are you selling? You're selling lifestyle. What else are you selling? You're selling yourself, but what are you doing for your clients? What are you selling? Yeah. You say the difference between selling a house and selling a home. You're selling dreams. You're selling security. You're selling belonging. You're selling security. That house son of mine in Richmond Hill that I sold, I always reckoned I walked through the door and the house used to put its arms around me. That's what you're selling. You're not selling houses. So are you connecting to emotion before logic? Here's the house, this is much what it costs. That's all logical. But are you responding to the emotion? Because it's when people connect with you, they want to buy from you. They don't want to buy from a brand. They want to connect with you. And are you harnessing the power of Ubuntu to give the best possible experience that you can? So one of the ways that we open up the stress in our brain is through gratitude. So can you go back to your Mentimeter? And I just want you to put one thing that you're grateful for. For the people who are online, if you'd like to join us in the conversation, the question is, what are you grateful for? And why this is so important is that gratitude actually opens up the social connection in our brain. We are wired to connect. We are absolutely wired to connect. So it opens us up, and people are actually attracted to us rather than repelled to us. When we shut ourselves off, we actually send out signals that says, leave me alone. When we are grateful, we open up those signals, and let's see what is coming as the statements are coming in. Please do continue to put them in. And as you see what is great, what people are grateful for, you will notice that a lot of the noise that was around us, I don't see anybody saying, I'm grateful for my Mercedes-Benz. On here, okay, let's have a look. Let's just see, just scroll up a little bit. As you can see, health, family, God, my job. But what you have done is if you start every single morning and you finish off every single day by just expressing gratitude for something, what it does is it actually opens up your brain, it opens up your mind, it allows you to connect, and those stress levels start coming down. So instead of taking a tranquilizer, rather do deep breathing and gratitude. If you do those, it helps still the stress in our body. So let's talk about this working world that we are going into in the next normal. I sometimes, when I look at the UK, think that they missed the memo somewhere. All right. So they all went and had their AstraZeneca vaccines, which the United States won't let them in to go and visit. Okay. And then they took their masks off and said, that's it. Okay, it's gone. It's done. All right. But there is a little bit of a step in the way, as I'm sure that you're aware. I really believe the next year is going to be all about hybrid. I mean, this is such a beautiful example. Here we're able to have 40 people in the room, but by the same token, we are still able to scale by going out to an audience that can be infinite. There's no reason why you couldn't have 1 million people out there. And there's also no reason why you couldn't have people out there from all over the country. This is what's changed. And I think this is what our dream for Port Elizabeth is. A couple of years ago, when the DA first took over, we started running a smart city initiative. And there was lots of excitement, all right? But you need an enabling government to be able to do that. Then the council started fighting with each other, and nobody was getting anything from anybody. During lockdown, I was really disappointed. I was hoping that we could shift the mindset enough in Port Elizabeth to see that this is the ideal destination. It's big enough to have infrastructure. It's small enough that we all know each other. They should not be building new smart cities. Turn cities like Port Elizabeth into a smart city. The Great Resignation, where people are wanting a new way of life. Why not Port Elizabeth? Are we marketing this destination collectively? On your Facebook feed, when I look at your Facebook feed, is Port Elizabeth a place that I would like to come and visit? Are you sharing the potential of the city? Because hybrid work is going to become our next normal. And we're seeing this. Some companies are closing down their offices. They are now starting to have just like setups here, where you just have connect venues. I think you guys are a little bit ahead of your time on this one. All right, so these kind of venues, they are shutting down offices. This is going to impact your world because property is starting to change. A lot more people are starting to work from home, which means the questions they might be asking about their houses. So if we're going to do hybrid, let's, with greatest respect, because they are one of my clients, I love Toyota to bits, all right? Don't be a Prius, be a Tesla. Okay? All right? A Prius will get you from A to B, and it'll make you feel good. Okay, you can do your virtue signaling, saying I'm in an electric car. But let's face it, if you see that little MG out in the corner there, that's mine. So if I were to ever get an electric car, let's make it sexy. How do we make our hybrid sexy? What is the experience that we are giving to our clients to be able to do that? So does anybody know what the official saying for 2020 was? It was actually, they actually made an official statement. You're on mute. Remember the seances, the Zoom seances? Is there anybody out there? Can you hear me? Do you have a message for me? Okay. the seances that we have on Zoom and Teams. And you're on mute was perhaps the word of the year. I honestly believe come 2021, digital fatigue is going to be one of the statements that I think is going to be right up there. We have been living our lives on Zoom, on Teams, on Facebook, on et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are not wired to not connect physically. So digital fatigue is not just about screen time. It's about connection. I speak to my son in Bermuda once a week. We connect. It's a beautiful connection time. But I'm also having clients who are working 18 hours a day and not taking breaks between meetings. What happened to traffic? We used to get in our car after a meeting with a client and we had some time to think and to process. Now what we do, next one, straight on, next one, next one, next one, next one, and off we go. So, digital fatigue, if you're not suffering from it, chances are your clients are suffering from it. If they are working from home and they are buying houses, are you looking at saying to them, create spaces for both connection, online and offline? So when I go and look for a new house, having my own study, because we've had to divide the house down the half. My husband gets this bedroom, I get the lounge, and we kind of have to WhatsApp each other to check that we're not each busy. Okay, across the thing. But are we helping create environments to overcome digital fatigue? I was at a big conference and one of the union members stood up and said, why aren't we getting a bonus for being on site? Because everybody else had the luxury of working from home. Okay? And somebody said, are we working from home or are we living at work? And in the future, are we going to be creating environments and homes that have to accommodate both? Which means that your office that you set up in your kitchen is probably not good in the long term. So going forward, fiber, office space, privacy, light, all of those things, are they going to be part of the sales conversation going forward? Who feels that they are living at work, like they just can't shut the door? And I know for entrepreneurs, that's the norm. I mean, let's face it. An entrepreneur, the only reason the entrepreneur knows that it's a public holiday is because nobody's booked an appointment in your diary. Have you noticed that? You think, gee, I've got a whole day on Friday. And you say, oh, is that why I have a whole day on Friday? Okay. All right. But people really feeling that they are having to balance this paradigm. And it all comes down to balance. It's not about whether or not you should be shutting off your phone or being on your phone. The question is, what are you doing with it? Are you finding time for well-being, lifestyle, energy, and meaning? If your screen time is helping you with that, that's great. All right. So it's not about don't be on your phone for more than 4 hours, because quite frankly, that phone runs our entire existence. All right, everything's on there. But are we getting this balance between this multitasking, lack of boundaries, work? Have you found that you're working harder through this time? All right. So productivity and results are not necessarily the same thing. Sometimes we're working harder because we're not as productive as well. So how are we balancing, both in your own lives and in the lives of your clients? How are you balancing between these two? So it can be little things, like I made the choice in the morning. My hubby brings me a cup of tea early in the morning because he's the morning person in the relationship. I don't know why, there always has to be one. And he brings me a cup of tea, and then he backs out slowly and he leaves me alone, all right, because I'm not fit for human company for at least 40 minutes. And I used to first thing grab my phone and check my emails. Now what I do is that I do not touch my technology for the first 30 minutes of my day. I just sit quietly, reflecting, being grateful, just getting my day started. These are the conscious choices that we need to make around this space that we're in. I'm just keeping an eye on the time so that we don't run out. Okay. All right. So what has changed in the world of work? As you differentiate yourself as agents, all right, clients are no longer just looking for a house. They can see that on the internet, all right? You can do a virtual tour of a house on the internet. So what is it that they're looking for? They're looking for that magic experience. So if you take that magic, that meaning, that growth, that impact, and you bring it here, don't deliver a product, deliver an experience. If you have a community of potential buyers, the agents who sold me my house are still connected with me on Facebook. I still get the newsletter, which is great, which is standard, but they connect with me as people. So chances are my next sale is not going to be go into the newspaper and say, oh, let me find an agent. I already have a relationship. So who's going to be my first call? Because the experience that has been created has been absolutely magnificent. So focus your work on your clients. So the little things like, Michelle Brown is brilliant at this. If you're in contact with Michelle Brown on your birthday and on your wedding anniversary, you get an SMS. It's just who she is. All right. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel really good. It's part of that experience. Anything that you can do to say to clients, how can I make you feel safer? How can I make you feel more comfortable? How can I blend technology and in person so it's the optimum balance for you, which might mean more video work. And cell phones are great. Sometimes people say, I don't want to come to actually see the house. I actually want to go on a video tour. Are you able to do that? So ask yourself, if in order to thrive in this new world, are you focusing on experience more than the numbers? The numbers are important. If you don't have the impact, you're not making money, you're not going to be in business. But it's the experience that is going to pull those clients in there, and you are going to achieve a much higher level of retention. So there are 4 roles that you can play as you move into this world that will help both you and your clients to thrive. First of all, you need to be a guide. People are very unsure of what the future looks like. For the first time, we can't really say, do you know what next year looks like? So how do you forecast with such uncertainty? So you need to be keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening out there in property. And you need to be guiding them into that murky future. You need to be giving them a sense of security, that they've got something to hold on to. So they might be a little bit more dependent on you in this time than they normally are. But that's okay. And then, are you taking them one step at a time? Helping them through the changes, what's changed, being in contact. You know, when the deeds office is 6 months behind, all right, and you don't tell your client about it, what happens to your client? They just get frustrated. If you phone them and say, listen, I phoned and I've checked, this is where you're at, they say, that's great, thanks for letting me know. Not much we can do about it. So each one of these steps is an opportunity for you to guide your clients through to the best possible deal that you can make with them. Your second role is to be a gardener. What kind of environment are you going to create for your customers and for you? What kind of environment, what kind of garden do you want to live in? You focus on creating that environment for your clients. Make them feel loved, make them feel appreciated, make them feel like you've got answers to the questions, or if you don't have the answers to the questions, that if they ask, you can go and find those answers. Become their trusted advisor, because that is what people are looking for in times of uncertainty, is to say to somebody, I trust you and I will walk this journey with you. So what can you do to, in your business environment, to be a gardener, to create that environment? This one I absolutely love. How much have you done in your work that you realized is just busy work? Plenty, okay. And have you actually calculated how much time that busy work has cost you? It's massive. So I think the world has got a little bit lighter. We have got rid of some of the stuff that we used to do because that's what you were supposed to do. And so your role as a sculptor is not to create the statue. Michelangelo said the role of the sculptor is the sculptor allows the rock to tell you what statue is going to emerge. Your job as a sculptor is to get everything else out of the way. So in your life, what is on your things not to do list? What is on your things to stop list, rather than what's on your things to do list? Doesn't that automatically feel, oh, it sounds so much easier? Go and spend some time thinking, what are you doing that serves no useful purpose in your life? Get rid of it. What are all of those contacts, your Facebook feeds, those? How many of you spend hours scrolling through the comments on the Herald? Okay, where all the idiots live, okay? That's 3 hours of your time you're never going to get back, okay? All right, so what are those things that you're doing? Where is the rocks for you so that this beautiful statue can emerge, and it comes back to post-COVID, as we move into this next normal? What is the life you want to live, which is the statue? What do you need to get out of the way in order to make that happen? And then the last role that you have to play is a DJ. So what does a DJ do? Creates music. Okay, all right. So there is nothing worse than a bad DJ at an event, am I right? Okay. A DJ can make or break an event, and this normally happens at weddings. I see it at weddings, okay. Because how do you find a DJ who can make sure that grandma's okay and the bride and groom and the kids are okay? So a bad DJ can make or break an event. So are you choosing beautiful music? All right. Are you choosing the right music? Are you, in the way that you're communicating, in the way that you're showing up, are you also turning up or down the volume? The DJ controls the volume. So when things are getting too unsettled for your clients, are you turning down all of the noise and saying, let me help guide you through this? So you've got two jobs here. First of all, choose the music and let's have some fun. Okay, let's get out, let's get people dancing again, let's get them moving again, let's get them having some fun. But also, too much noise is very stressful. So in the digital space, we have got channels coming at us all over the place. WhatsApp groups, all right, that people don't realize that at 2 o'clock in the morning you still get the message. All right. So it's the etiquette around that. It's how do we maximize the channels that we are going to be working with. All right, before we go to our last question, I want to ask if there are any questions, thoughts, anything that anybody would like to share. See, if I was on Zoom, I'd just pick on one of you. Any thoughts? Anything you'd like to share? Any questions you'd like to ask? Any observations you've had about what it's been like over the last 567 days?
It's like an unplaying survivor. And who's going to, what island do we go to now?
Yeah.
What's going to be going to next?
And is you,
Which I was quite exciting.
well, if you saw it as a game, then it could be. Yeah.
Change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then, so were you on the green side of the?
I was actually
At
at the peak.
the peak. Okay. So.
I'm kind of like finished playing survivor.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. And to see who wins, yeah. Because what you can't do, and it's an excellent point, you can't play Survivor forever. All right. Yeah. The Redemption Island. That's it. Okay. So it's like being on. It's been like being on Survivor. How else has it been?
It's a growth.
Mm-hmm. Learned a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Been a growing time.
Out the box. Just out the box thinking.
Because what we were thinking before just wasn't working before anymore. Yeah.
The materialism is definitely gone.
Absolutely.
Even really wealthy people.
Yeah.
Because they just lose a friend to COVID.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
And they think, that car doesn't mean anything to that
Yeah.
person they've gone.
So they are looking at what they're buying through a different set of eyes. All right. So are you looking through those eyes at the moment? And maybe we're going to be having more values-based discussions. What is important to you, rather than how much bling can I show off to the rest of the world?
Because it doesn't matter where you live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've actually seen as well, though, that people realize they don't need to work as hard to afford these flashy lifestyles. That they prefer working less, earning less, and needing less.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it is very, very much so. And yet, I think I've certainly invested more in my home over lockdown than I have in the last 10 years. So there's a lovely saying that in difficulty lies opportunity. In the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. The key is, where do you find that difficulty? So I've got a question for you, and we're going to talk about the future of work for you. So the question that I want to ask is this one. What does the next normal look like for the property industry? All right, and I just want to double check. Yeah, there. Yes, it is. Okay, it should be a little text question. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, so you can put in as many as you like. What does the next normal look like for the property industry? You can write up to 256 characters and just press submit when you're done. You will be getting a copy of the slides and all of the inputs and all of that kind of thing, because these are very, very valuable. Okay, let's just put that up so that we... So what does the next normal look like? Okay, I see we've got 11. Don't forget to press submit. Anybody in our audience at home, if you'd also like to join us on that code, the code is at the top of the screen. It's 69549689. Please do feel free to add your inputs as well as you are watching with us. Okay, let's see what we've got so far. Please carry on putting them in. I'd like to get as many voices in the room as possible. But let's see what we have. Now remember, the next normal is not all about what's wonderful. It's about what is. That's what normal is. Your brain likes the status quo. So the next normal is what the current status quo is. All right, so we're seeing exciting times ahead, but we're also seeing potential stock shortages. Balancing technology with experience, having the right balance between tech and touch. In fact, my motto for many years has been high tech, high touch. Running out of properties to sell. That's very, very interesting. Okay? Those agents who adapt to change will thrive. Homes will be adapted. Virtual showings. Anybody doing virtual showings during lockdown? Okay. And this is especially important because as people have become we have made the formal step now into proper e-commerce. So are you creating an online experience for them as well? Could you actually sell to somebody that you never see? You do, yeah. Okay. So if you're embracing this, don't only look at your in-person experience, but you also need to look at your online experience and how people are dealing with that as well. Okay, advertising on social media, it's become less complicated, and it's balancing that virtual and real connection. So as we go into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, we don't know what 2022 is going to bring. I think at the beginning of 2021, everybody was so glad to see the back of 2020, and we thought that things are going to be back to normal. Okay, what changed? The one. That was the only thing that changed. All right, everything else pretty much stayed the same. I wouldn't be overly optimistic that we're going to see massive change, at least until the middle of next year. So how can we shift our mindset to say, I'm done with surviving, I want to live now? So now start focusing on the positive, start focusing on the growth, carry on focusing on the important lessons that we've learned, because we've got the opportunity to press the reset button. In pressing the reset button, how is your life going to be different? If you are in the orange and the red place on the stress graph, what are you going to do to move yourself back into the green? Because it's in the green that you're going to get your best results. Because there you're at your healthiest, you're at your most open, you're at a point where you are attracting people. When you get into heavy stress, you end up repelling people because they pick up on your stress. So we have some conscious and intentional decisions to make. Let's live life on purpose from this point on. It's been absolutely wonderful sharing this time with you. Thank you very much. And I think that you have some lovely goodies to share. So thank you very much. You will be getting the copies of everything. My details will be on there. If anybody wants to drop me a line, connect with me on LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm always happy to support local PE business wherever I possibly can. Thank you very much.
Hi. Thank you, Bev. I think we all feel inspired and ready to make some changes and to write that actually down and decide. So that it's not just one of our talks where we go and not forget about it. Even one or two small pointers and just change the direction of your ship. If it's by 1 degree, it makes a massive difference at where we end up ultimately. And just one thing which Bev touched on, which is incredibly important for me, and every time I speak to your agents, I say that, is that personal communication with your clients. We on the other end see that. And although we keep them informed, we tell them what's happening at the deeds office, we tell them that there's a prominent municipality, whatever, also the positive stuff, we get the feedback over and over again from clients. After the deal was signed, we haven't heard from the agent again. And that is applicable to a very wide scope of agents across the board. I know you're busy, I know you're looking at the next one and what do we have to do. And you are comfortable because the good attorneys are keeping the clients in touch. But you lose that personal experience. Stay in touch. Pick up that phone once or twice through the transaction. Just hear if your client is well. I've shared with some of you the other night. I had an experience in Cape Town. The deal went perfect, registered on the right day, everything. I was the conveyancer. I haven't heard from the agents from the day when the deal was signed, right to key handover, right to the end. It made me feel worthless. But the person who made 400,000 Rand haven't spoken to me at all. So that's just one of the things. keep that in mind, that you stay in contact with your clients. I always say that, and I've experienced it personally as well. Just that is ultimately what people want to know, that we care. And I don't want to take too much time on that. Thanks for joining us, and let's just quickly see who are the lucky ones. Tia, will you please come forward? I think all of you know Tia as the regional manager for OOBA. And I just want to thank you, Tia, for your generous contribution to today and the next 2 weeks. It's always nice for us to partner with trusted people in the industry. And whenever we do something, Tia is always willing to come to the party and assist. And on your side, please remember to support them if they're not already on your list.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
So there's two bowls. One is for the in-person people, and the others are for the online ones. So we'll do it one each. So the first one will be for one of you who's in the audience.
Okay, so we'll take that one, Andrew, if you want to have a look.
Kerry Deval. Online is Fran Wilford from KW. So, Denise, will you come and collect on behalf of Fran? Oh, thank you so much, Denise. I hope Fran saw that she's a winner.
Well done, Fran.
Zelda is 1 year. Zelda Johnson from KW. It's a lucky seat, that. So much. And then online, Jorg Brandt from Smart Properties. We will organize that for him. And then the one in the audience, Gertruida.
Dank u.
En I'll find.
Let's baie gelukkig.
Oh, and then Justine Smart, the other online one from OOBA, a gift from OOBA.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome to. You're more than welcome to spend a bit of time socializing with each other. We will open the doors. There's enough space on the side as well so that you can keep some social distancing. And yeah, please join us next week online for the rest of you. And thank you again, Bev. It was just such a privilege to listen to you. And we are all really inspired. Thank you so much.
Thank you.